U.S. President Joe Biden met with Israeli President Reuvin Rivlin at the White House on Monday, with the U.S. leader vowing to take a hard line on Iran despite his administration's ongoing efforts to rejoin the 2015 nuclear deal. "What I can tell you is that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon on my watch," Biden said in the Oval Office next to Rivlin. "Things are still far from decided," the U.S. president added, referring to ongoing negotiations on the nuclear deal, which is formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. The U.S. had withdrawn from the deal in 2018 during former President Donald Trump's administration. Israel has come out strongly against JCPOA. The Israeli president told reporters after the meeting that he was satisfied with Biden's Iran comments and said the two countries have to cooperate. It is Rivlin's last visit to the U.S. as Israel's president, with Jewish Agency Chairman Isaac Herzog taking over the role on July 9. Rivlin told Biden that Israel has no greater friend alive than the U.S. Biden said he hoped to meet Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett very soon, with White House spokesperson Jen Psaki saying earlier in the day that the two sides are working on the date for the gathering. Bennett became the prime minister on June 13 and is backed by a diverse coalition of left, right, and Arab parties in Israel. His predecessor, Benjamin Netanyahu, had served in the position for 15 years. Biden also defended Sunday's airstrikes targeting alleged Iran-backed militias on the Syria-Iraq border. Some U.S. lawmakers have claimed Biden does not have the legal authority to order the airstrikes and argue the president has to receive congressional authorization to carry out the military action. "I have that authority," Biden said during the meeting with Rivlin. The airstrikes targeted 3 operational and weapons storage facilities in Iraq and Syria. At least 4 Iran-backed militia fighters were killed in the airstrikes, with the Kataib Hezbollah group vowing revenge. A U.S. military base in eastern Syria was attacked by rockets on Monday, most likely from Iran-backed militias operating in the area. The U.S. then returned fire. Biden previously ordered an airstrike on a site in Syria in February, which was reportedly occupied by Iran-backed militias. The move was in response to rocket attacks against U.S. forces in Iraq. Israel also frequently conducts airstrikes on alleged Iran-linked targets in Syria. Former President Trump carried out multiple airstrikes on Syrian government sites in 2017 and 2018. The airstrikes were in retaliation for chemical attacks that were allegedly ordered by the Syrian government. President Joe Biden has warned Iran that the United States will act forcefully to protect Americans after the U.S. military carried out airstrikes against Iran-backed forces in retaliation for an attack in Syria. Make no mistake, the United States does not seek conflict with Iran, but be prepared for us to act forcefully to protect our people, Biden told reporters during a visit to Canada. Asked whether there should be a higher cost for Iran, Biden replied, "We're not going to stop." Officials said a U.S. service member was wounded in Syria on Friday in the latest tit-for-tat strike between the Iran-backed forces and U.S. personnel. It comes after an attack on Thursday killed an American contractor and wounded 5 U.S. troops and another contractor. Washington has said a drone of Iranian origin was used in that attack. Although U.S. forces stationed in Syria have been attacked with drones before, deaths are rare. The violence could further aggravate already strained relations between Washington and Tehran as attempts to revive a 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and major powers stalled, and with Iranian drones being used by Russia against Ukraine. The Pentagon had said U.S. F-15 jets on Thursday attacked 2 facilities used by groups affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which monitors the war in Syria, said the U.S. strikes had killed 8 pro-Iranian fighters. Reuters was unable to independently confirm the toll. Suspected U.S. rocket on Friday targeted new areas in eastern Syria, according to 2 local sources. Pro-Iranian forces in Syria said in an online statement late on Friday that they have a long arm to respond to further U.S. strikes on their positions. Iran's state press TV said no Iranians had been killed and quoted local sources as saying the target was not an Iran-aligned military post, but that a rural development center and a grain center near a military airport had been hit. The U.S. strikes were a response to a drone attack earlier on Thursday on a base near Hasaka in northeast Syria operated by a U.S.-led coalition battling the remnants of Islamic State. 3 service members and a contractor required medical evacuation to Iraq, while 2 wounded American troops were treated at the base. On Friday, the Pentagon said the injured personnel were in stable condition. A U.S. base at the Al Omar oil field in Syria was attacked on Friday morning, according to the Lebanese pro-Iranian TV channel Al Mayadeen and a security source. It is not uncommon for Iranian-backed groups to fire missiles at U.S. bases in Syria after they are hit with airstrikes. U.S. forces first deployed into Syria during the Obama administration's campaign against Islamic State, partnering with a Kurdish-led group called the Syrian Democratic Forces. There are about 900 troops in Syria, most of them in the east. U.S. troops have been attacked by Iranian-backed groups about 78 times since the beginning of 2021, according to the U.S. military. While Islamic State has lost the areas of Syria and Iraq it ruled over in 2014, sleeper cells still carry out hit-and-run attacks in desolate areas where neither the U.S.-led coalition nor the Syrian army exert full control. John Kirby, the coordinator for strategic communications at the U.S. National Security Council, has said that the U.S. is in talks with countries in the West Asia region to integrate their air defenses. Bilaterally, we're talking with nations across the region about air defense capabilities specifically and what we can do to assist with their defense, and then exploring the idea of being able to kind of integrate all those air defenses together, Kirby told reporters. With U.S. officials formally talking of a defense structure in the region, Iran moved to warn against this effort because it believes that the U.S.-led defense system will be a threat to its interests. Nasser Kanani, spokesman for the Iranian Foreign Ministry, has said raising the issue of that system is provocative, and the Islamic Republic considers the statement a threat to its national security and also regional security. He said the fact that the U.S. raises and pursues such issues without correctly understanding the realities of the region and merely for the purpose of portraying Iran as a threat and sowing division in the region shows that what matters for Washington is its own illegitimate interests and putting the Zionist regime on life support. Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian parliament, went further to say that the U.S. move to establish a defense system against Iran in the Persian Gulf amounted to the mistake it made in expanding NATO to the east, which led to the Ukraine war. Khalibaf said the U.S. is being misled by Israel into repeating that mistake. Evidence available to us shows that this trip has been fully arranged by the Zionists or Israelis, and that the U.S. president is implementing agendas and projects that the Zionist regime, which is the biggest enemy of the region's nations, has outlined and dictated in full detail. Turning into an executive of Israeli policies in the region will be a historic and strategic mistake on the part of the U.S. president, one which will be detrimental to the Biden administration before anyone else. Khalibaf was quoted as saying by Iran state news agency IRNA. He added, in expanding NATO to the east and ignoring potent geopolitical warnings in that regard led to the start of the Ukraine war. Now, the same indiscretion is taking place in the sensitive region of the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. The speaker said Israel is stuck in a well and tries to bring the US and other countries down to that well. Sayed Reza Sadr al-Husseini, an Iranian expert on the region, has said the US is seeking to set up a big Arab army whose command and control room will not be in the Arab countries. According to the expert, the US wants that room to be in Israel instead. Sadr al-Husseini made the remarks in an interview with the state news agency IRNA. U.S. forces first deployed into Syria during the Obama administration's campaign against the Islamic State, partnering with a Kurdish-led group called the Syrian Democratic Forces. There are about 900 U.S. troops in Syria, most of them in the east. U.S. troops have been attacked by Iranian-backed groups about 78 times since the beginning of 2021, according to the U.S. military.